Welcome to the Pan Pacific Hotel in Richmond, British Columbia. My boat, the Pacific Odyssey, is directly ahead, and I'm berthed at the marina associated with the hotel. I'm going to take you on a tour around the northern fork of the Fraser River, which is where the boat and the marina are located. The Fraser River is one of the top salmon rivers located in British Columbia. It's actually fresh water in through here, which is much better than keeping your boat on salt water. So what we're going to do is we're heading out of the marina, and the first thing we'll do is head over to the other side to look at some very interesting. Coming down this channel, you can see on the left side some boathouses, obviously for protection against the winter snows and rains, as well as UV protection from the sun. But yet on the right hand side we do have a bunch of what is referred to as float homes. Usually these are built on barges. Sometimes they're set up with foam blocks on the bottom or concrete blocks that are hollow on the inside. And these things will range anywhere from 2-story all the way up to 3-story. They have heaters on board and actually are quite comfortable on the inside. We're in front of the Vancouver Marina fuel dock. This is normally where I pick up diesel, which right now is about $1.60 per liter. I will pan the camera to the left, and what you'll see is a series of bridges. The first one in front is actually a type of swing bridge, and so the larger boats or the sailboats with a high mast will require the traffic to stop and actually the boat to swing open. This is a representation of my 3D plotter of my vessel, shown as the icon and its latitude and longitude, and there are two bridges located directly in front. So what I'll do is I'll pan the camera up to the bridges, and hopefully you can read the sign which gives the bridge schedule and when it is closed to marine traffic. So basically what you have to do is, if your boat will not fit under, then you call either my cell phone or the HF radio a 24/7 operator who's located in a control shed, and he will swing the bridge for you. Now, how can we tell if we don't need the bridge opened or not? What you do is you simply count the boards. We have a relatively high tide now, and so as you're looking at these boards, counting from the top down, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7.5. Well, my boat would almost make it through. I need actually 8 free boards to make it through completely. So I'd count, but the tops of my antennas would probably scrape underneath the bridge railings. The second bridge that we're passing through is actually a car bridge, and it is a fixed bridge. So you can get an idea of the white placard up there indicating that we're a little bit more than 12 meters from the top of the water to underneath the bridge. So a meter is 3 feet, so if your boat was less than 36 feet high, then what we can do is accurately clear this bridge. If not, there is no swinging, so you just have to wait until the next low tide. The Fraser River is fed by mountain streams, and now that feeds in a lot of sediment. The sediment comes down and actually clogs up the marinas. So every couple of years, 4 or 5 years, depending on the currents and the amount of sediment coming down, you need a piece of equipment like this. This is an underwater dredge. So it will go in there and actually dredge up the silty material on the bottom, increasing the depth of the marina by maybe 8 to 10 feet. It also keeps the channels clear. It's a very important thing up here to have done, because sedimentation in a matter of years would simply clog the area and prohibit both the marinas as well as commercial shipping. We're coming under a third bridge right now. This bridge actually is a bridge for the SkyTrain, what they refer to as the Vancouver Line subway. Next to it is a fuel dock, a large fuel dock, and you'll notice fuel barges in here. And these barges contain these huge tanks full of gasoline and diesel, and they're towed by tugboat up to the northern islands to service small filling stations as well as yacht basins in the Pacific Northwest. In looking at my GPS plotter, again, you can see the icon of the boat, the bridges that we passed through. We are now at a Y junction. If we were to take the left path, that would head directly out to the ocean. If we head to the right, that would take us up to Westminster, and it's referred to as the inland path. We're close to the Vancouver airport, so this is a common sight right above us. And dead ahead we have the River Rock Casino and Marina. This was Indian controlled until they discovered it was used as a money laundering facility, and it was now acquired by some Americans who will control it, hopefully honestly. We're entering now the River Rock Marina. I'm able to do that because it's high tide. You can see the incredible lock of boats here. This actually was my marina about 5 years ago, and I, along with about 300 other boats, were kicked out. The reason why is because this area is totally silted. At low tide, all these boats are high and dry. They're floating on the sediment on the bottom with their props completely submerged in mud. Now I can come through here now because I have a shallow draft boat, but also the fact that it is high tide. The casino had planned several years ago to dredge it, but again there was complications with the money laundering, and when they finally did get a contract signed for a fellow to dredge it, only to find out he was not approved by the state, and the state did not allow that. And so they had to go out and try to find another contractor, which I think they have finally succeeded. So hopefully within the next year or two, this marina will be dredged and back to operating shape. These few boats that you see here are actually controlled by the broker or owner's friends of the marina, but they represent maybe only 5% of the capacity of the marina. One of the things that the Fraser River is known for, other than salmon, is the logging, and especially the log booms that are up in here. Whoops, I better be careful. Here's a log that is broken loose. This is referred to as a deadhead, which means you can hardly see it in the water. It broke away from the log boom. It is an incredible hazard both to boaters as well as marinas. If it gets in there, it gets caught under the piling, it will actually poke a hole through your boat and sink your boat. And in our marina at the Delta, we've had 2 boats in the past year be sunk by logs. Yeah, you can see the log boom coming in here. There's a bridle on the side with some chains that hold a bunch of free logs located into the center. And then these are towed down by tugboat along the Fraser River to a processing plant. We have another bridge in front of us, one of the main arteries from the airport down to Vancouver proper, but it also marks the entrance or the beginning to an island called Mitchell Island. So on my navigation chart, you can see the icon of the boat, and my bow is directly pointed toward Mitchell Island, which is that long, slender island that goes only about a half a mile. This is where there's a tremendous amount of logging done. So I'm going to take you right next to one of the logging factories on the Fraser River. We're coming into the first of many log operations on the Fraser. What you see is a small tugboat, often referred to as a mule. And what it's doing is it's pushing the logs out. These logs have just come out through what's called the scraper. So it peels the bark off them. Many of these are cedar, a lot of pine, some hardwoods. All come from up north in BC, the various areas that have been logged. This is a log coming out right now that has gone through the stripper. You can see it's about more than a meter in diameter. Looks like it may be a cedar. They'll come to the center area, and lo and behold, into the water, and the mule will be back to load it into different position. Connected to the mill is a lumber yard, sawmill, and this then will create these large planks, fruit planks, that are ready to be shipped around the world. The chips and sawdust left over from the lumber milling operation then are loaded via this hopper into these huge barges. They in turn sent out to another factory to make pressboard or presswood out of it. It's always amazing to me that of all the logging operations on the Fraser River and the hundreds of deadheads that we see here, the logging companies have absolutely no liability if you hit a log or your boat sinks because of one. Because barges are such a inexpensive way to transport goods along the Fraser River, the idea of also shipping sand, gravel, concrete, in many of these areas become very attractive. And all up and down this part of the river next to Mitchell Island, there are probably 50 or 60 operations involved in just that. This is an old railroad bridge, and the interesting thing about it is it's actually a shelter for homeless people. You can see all the tents in the back or right on the bridge, the nice deck that they have. What a grand old view it would be from up there. It does get a little cold in the winter, but nonetheless, perfect vantage point. Whoa. As we move along Mitchell Island, the next area we're coming into is a fisheries area. The cylinder that you see with the pipe is actually hydraulic suction that's used to pull fish out of the hold and send them to the processing plant. Located next to these large boathouses is an unusual white barge structure. This is actually a fishing lodge. So it is towed up to northern BC, maybe even Juneau, borders of Alaska, and they use it for fishing. In fact, this one is actually called Joe's Salmon Lodge. Interesting name. Hope he does well. And here is actually a second salmon lodge on the barge. It's quite larger than the first one. Well, it's almost like a a giant condominium complex with life ring. And we have just circumnavigated Mitchell Island. Dead ahead is the extreme of the island. A nice tour of Mitchell Harbor. I'm returning back to my boat, the Pacific Odyssey. Hope you enjoyed the tour, and I'll take you on another one.